Hi, I'm Dean Sage.
And I'm Jack Herban.
And this is Show Me Your Deck,
a podcast where we explore the intersections of oracles and chakras,
using our original decks to create new insights. All right, we got episode 59 on deck. 59 on top here.
Is that prime? That must be prime.
I feel like it is.
It's got to be.
I feel like it is. Actually, it's interesting how primes come and go in the sequences and series. They have the big computers calculating all the future primes, and they still can't prove the theorem, about primes. It's fascinating.
So that's the whole foundation for password security, right?
I don't know. I think that's part of it.
I'm pretty sure that's I think that's part of how the encryption works, is knowing which sequence of prime numbers are standing in for the characters you type for your password or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what 16-bit encryption means, or whatever. It's how many numbers make up this prime number. Is it a prime number with 37 numbers in it?
Gotcha.
Or 37 places,
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, we have. It's funny. We both have numerology, but we're neither of us are really numerologists.
No. There's so much else going on in the system. I don't need to make it even more complicated. I already got 4 decks. You want a 5th one? We can do one with numbers, I guess. I don't know. The
tarot has some numerology to it, so I kind of adopted that when I was making my deck, obviously, because it's, a 1-for-1 to the tarot. But what was interesting is that there's also like a whole bunch of astrology that's kind of been put in there as well. So like this one creator that I would watch, I haven't watched her in a while. I need to. She would always be like, well, this card has like Taurus energy and this card has Capricorn energy. And it never really meant anything to me because I can't remember who's what, where. Anyway, like I'm going to know what a Libra is. I'm a Libra. My spouse is a Pisces, so I know a little bit about that. But even like that, like I couldn't quite tell you all the characteristics of it. It doesn't stick. It doesn't stick in my head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much else going on in your deck. You don't have to put the complexity there. If somebody using your deck finds it, then yay on them.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine. I think that's interesting.
Well, there's enough other nuance in the system that it supports and invites and welcomes additional complexity.
Mm. Well, and again, because I was influenced by the tarot's traditional meanings, although I did make some changes of my own, then I guess if the astrology is in the original meanings, then it would cross over to mine, suppose. I don't know. You guys have to tell us. And when you look at my deck and when you hear this, talk about this, if you are a big astrologer, if that's something that resonates with you, let us know if you see some of that in what we've created, even though it wasn't necessarily an intentional piece of what we created.
There's all sorts of vibrational quality to something, whether you put it there or not. It's going to pick it up just by the nature of reality itself.
Well, let's get some cards.
All right, let's see where we start. We're going to start with deck number 2. That is the literal professions. We're going to have card number.
As it rolls off the table.
Number 11. I feel like 11 has come up before recently. Let's see what this is. 11 is right in the middle of the metal series. So Svadhisthana, orange, I feel, and how it intersects with Vishuddha, air, aqua, I say. So how I feel intersects with I say, the way in which your sensations, feelings, emotions, instincts are influenced by the way you express yourself. And that profession is, I profess that I feel that my expression of myself is powerful. I profess that I feel that my expression of myself is powerful. As a context card, this sounds like a reminder that speaking your truth, even if it is inconvenient is still valuable and important and empowering. So with the subsequent cards as they come up, it's a reminder that you have to that you have to look at whatever the reminder is and understand that it's encouraging you to be expressive and confident in your expressive qualities as a person, whether it's with art or speaking or the actions you take in your community.
So I find a couple things interesting. I'm tracking with you. I'm not sure if I'm totally there with you. What kind of hit me is that you use the word power, but we're not talking about the third chakra. So that kind of struck me interestingly, that this combination to you, like it sort of, to me, it has like a little bit of that yellow energy to it. I think that the emotions, like the second chakra is a very interesting chakra because like it often gets associated with sexuality because of where it exists in the body, right? Emotions, of course, desire, all those kind of things kind of, rile around down there. Where does intuition come for you? Like, does this chakra represent intuition for you as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because that's, to me, one of the overarching themes of the second chakra is you have the emotions, right? You have reactions. We might even call them, guttural, right? Reactions, things that are coming from your limbic system, from the short circuits of your brain, right? These are the things that you don't think about. You react to them. And some of our limbic systems are overloaded in some ways. Like we have reactions that are not helpful to us. And it comes from trauma or past experiences kind of colliding. So I find all that interesting in our context card, that we've kind of got all that stuff happening down there. And then truth is, ringing from the throat chakra. So we have sort of reaction and truth happening together, intuition and truth. So like I see where you're going with what you were outlining there. Because this is the second chakra touching the throat. So with the energy of that kind of emotive, reactive, intuition, self, would that be the focus, or would the truth be the focus, the way that you work?
No, the main sequence is the instinct, the sensation, the emotions. And the intersection is looking at the way in which that affects how you express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're coming from a place of trauma, you get therapy. I profess that I feel my expression of myself is powerful. There are so many times where we have to not share something about how a situation or experience is affecting us. And being empowered enough and or brave enough and or courageous enough to share that with other people so that you can set up boundaries or set up conversations so that the healing can happen, so that further harm can be avoided. Whatever that means, whether it's from, a position of sexuality or it doesn't, it doesn't have to be sex. It doesn't have to be that kind of sensual pleasure. It can be any kind of sensorial input or it's not just sensual, it's sensorial. It can be sensual, but then there's emotion, there's instinct, there's everything that comes from the idea that you feel something in your gut. And not just that you say what you're experiencing, but that the act of doing so is itself what creates power. The reminder that you can empower yourself simply by letting people know how they are affecting you. And refusing to be a sounding board if you don't want to be, or refusing to be a stepping stone for somebody else, or in some way neglected or abused or taken for granted, or in some way marginalized. If you don't say anything, if you don't put it in your art, if you don't put it in your words, if you don't put it into whatever form of expression you want, then that just stays inside you and curdles in your gut, actually. Mm-hmm. So letting that out is brave. It is powerful. But it's the expression itself that's powerful. The acknowledging that this is how you're experiencing a situation, and making it known to someone other than yourself.
Mm. For me, the second chakra is water, and I have some interactions in my cards with the idea of like waters mixing, or like waves crashing against each other, mm-hmm. reinforcing versus destructive, that kind of, physics type stuff. And I was picturing that as you were speaking just now. Some of that imagery was kind of flowing through my head, because there is, a lot of mixing that happens around this chakra, and the idea of setting up a boundary and preventing it from mixing. Mm-hmm. Like, just being like, no, I'm not going to mix my emotions with yours. Maybe I'm not going to allow myself to be influenced by you, or, in a healthy world, I'm not going to put myself upon you.
Yeah. So it runs both ways, acknowledging that you have these feelings or instincts, and understanding that in sharing them, it doesn't mean that you're inflicting them. Something I like to say is that I don't want to inflict myself on people. I try to be self-aware enough to understand, maybe I don't know the specifics of why I feel a certain way, but I at least try to acknowledge that I am feeling it, or sensing it, or intuiting it. But I don't want that to splatter on somebody else. But I don't want you to splatter on me either. So that's to use your water reference. For me, it's metal. But, okay, fine. If you want to think about it in terms of metal, it's like, okay, this is what my bell sounds like. And it might be dissonant with yours, but that's okay. But this is the note that I'm ringing out. And if you happen to harmonize with that, fine. But if you're dissonant, okay, that's your note. But this is mine. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we sing together, and sometimes we don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of singing together, I've got some kitten magic happening behind me.
I hear it.
She just went potty, and apparently she needs to sing about that to everyone.
Yeah. She just ran by in the background.
Oh, she did.
That's post-poop zoomies. My kitty does it too. Mm-hmm. Do you know why that happens?
It's something about the activation of the vagus, isn't it?
That's right. The way their vagus nerve is aligned along their digestive tract. And so you see, so now we've got the vagus nerve and the bowel and expression. So kitten magic, those poop zoomies are powerful.
Yes. Okay, so I'm liking our context here. We have, the motion, the mixing of intuition and instinct and emotion, and how all that kind of makes up this area of us, right? This gut that we react to or act upon. And we've got an expression of it. So it's not just internal, but it's coming out.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's becoming much more widely recognized, but we have a second brain, and it is in our bowels. It is in our gut. And this is an example of a different form of intelligence needing to come out of you. Not everything you think comes out of your head. I mean, sometimes we like to say, oh, it's coming from my heart. No, it's coming from your gut, but okay, fine, whatever. But it's a different way of understanding and communicating about your life and who you are and what you're experiencing. And just because it's not logical doesn't mean it's not valuable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we overvalue logic, I think. and
Oh yeah, definitely.
we often overpower our instincts, and this is the trouble, right? Prejudice is instinctive. That's what makes it prejudice, because it
Prejudging.
yeah, it comes from a guttural place, because that's what was demonstrated to you. That's how you were raised. That's the culture that you find yourself in, etc. Like that's there. So we have to watch out. We do have to watch out, because just taking an instinctive route to everything, it minimizes the role of rationality, right, in our lives. But when your gut says, I need to get out of here,
Try to figure out why.
rationalizing over that could be dangerous for you.
It's ignoring red flags. The novel I just finished, the main character runs into this exact problem. Instead of overvaluing logic, he overvalues instinct. So everything in balance. I mean, if you've got two brains, you should be using both brains.
Right. I think I would like to pull a card and see where this context takes us. I'm curious if we're going to focus on the same chakras, or if we're going to add some. You did say power, so I feel like there might be some third chakral energy to come to play. All right, let's see what we got here. And as I speak, so it is. This is the Seeker of Flames. So this is the Page of Wands in the tarot, the Page of Wands. The Seeker of Flames. Feel the hot inspiration of your flames. Feel the hot inspiration of your flames. So for me, this is a court card in the tarot. So this is the page of the court card. So this is sort of the first expressions of the idea of the suit. And then you get to the sentinel or the knight, and then you get on towards the source and the sovereign, which is the queen and the king. So you kind of venture through the ideas of the chakra again. So in my deck, there's the first 10 cards, which is kind of the journey of the chakra, and then in the court cards, you sort of redo it, but like with a little bit more intention this time. So rather than it sort of happening to you, you're sort of intentionally being part of it.
So the Seeker is 11.
Seeker is 11, yeah.
Okay, so you were wondering where the fire would come in. Here it is, right here in our face. So this is okay. So help me understand. This is the moment of deciding to take action.
Yeah. This would be the Seeker sort of more observes the possibility,
becomes aware,
and then the Sentinel is the one that really goes out and does it. So this is sort of entering the forge. Entering the forge, looking around.
It's even becoming aware that there are actions to take.
Yes. Yeah. So this is feel the hot inspiration of your flames. So not just, oh, that's an idea. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that was kind of fun. I don't know. This is feel like the heat of your inspiration, on your skin. Like make it tactile, make it real, make it like there.
Something about this, going back to the context card, is giving me the vibe of, after acknowledging whatever your truth is and why it's important to share it, this card sounds like a reminder to really begin thinking about the practical way in which you can act upon whatever this other situation is. Mm-hmm. That it's not something to dismiss, it's not something to trivialize, it's not something to ignore or to allow other people to do on your behalf. That part of acknowledging whatever it is you need to express will require a series of steps to get that information out into the world. So, okay, you have whatever this truth is in response to whatever this instinct or sensation might be. Okay, so now what do you do with that need to share? How can you practically implement whatever is happening what are the options here? Is this a conversation you want to have? If it is, do you have to set up a meeting? What are the steps that you need to start considering in order to successfully express your powerful self? Do you need to go buy some books and learn? Do you need to call a friend and have a pep talk? Do you need to take a nap? What do you need to do? What are the options?
Yeah, there's definitely like the precipice of action here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The edge of something.
Recognizing that you will have to act.
So yeah, like to the context card, you speak, you have to speak, you have to express, but then you need to do something with it. Right? Like it's like maybe this isn't just talking to a friend. Maybe this is like an expression, like an artistic expression. Now you need
write a poem. What you gonna do?
Now you need to use this as inspiration for something. We were talking before the show. We were talking about what's art and all that kind of stuff, and that might come up. But one thing that I had said was that a sketch is sort of an intermediate thing. So I almost feel like the context card is like a sketch, and this card is saying, "Okay, now get ready, because you're going to take this sketch and you're going to do something with it. It's going to become something."
You start narrowing down which sketch you want to work from, or cleaning up the one that you've already selected.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the context card is saying, go instinctive, right? A lot of artists have talked about this. Go instinctive. Don't maybe be trapped by classical forms or classic ideas. Go. What's down there, right? Like what's instinctual. What's guttural for you in this instance? Express it. Like give it expression. Give it, sketch it on paper. Write down, a scene. Do something to give it a voice for you.
Allow it to exist outside of yourself.
Then once you've got that initial spark, now's the time to bring it to the forge and begin the work. Prepare the work. Prepare it. Set yourself
because
up.
if you don't, you run the risk of wallowing or complaining or just expressing that does nothing. It doesn't accomplish anything. The expression itself is an important place to start. It's not necessarily where you end.
I think I'm ready for another card. I think we need to expand here.
We're going to the abstract deck number 3, the intersections, the bouquets.
Bouquet.
And this is number 45. So we're jumping way up into Sahasrara.
Wow.
Going from the bottom to the top. So 45. Oh, well, okay, well. We're in Sahasrara. We're in purple. We're in Akasha or ether, if you prefer. Crown chakra. I know. And how it is impacted by orange. Metal. I feel. So staying down here in instinct and sensation and emotion. When you are thinking in terms of your place in the universe, your role in life, your connection to other people, your moral code, all that really big, broad, why am I here kind of stuff. All those philosophical kind of questions you have about yourself and what you want to do with your life and the legacy you want to leave, all that kind of stuff. How is that impacted by the way you feel, by the way you experience emotion and your senses and instinct, everything we were just talking about in the context card, it's coming right back. But now it's impacting your sense of morality and your sense of purpose. So we've already talked about looking at preparing to take action. So now this reminder seems to be, it's very beautiful actually. Come to YouTube. It's purple on orange. I know over I feel. As you prepare to take this action, whatever it is, this reminder, I feel it's coming back to the idea that this truth you're expressing about yourself needs to also be informed by the kind of person you even want to be, and staying true to those feelings, but doing it in a way that's not destructive or harmful. Hopefully your sense of self and your sense of purpose and morality doesn't draw you towards being harmful. Hopefully you're being drawn towards the light. we all have dark, but hopefully you're drawn to the light. But just be aware that the way you define that connection to the broader universe and the broader community is going to be impacted back around to where we were to begin with how you feel. So if you have this experience in the first place that you feel that you need to express and you're preparing to do something about it, just remind yourself that it is still being influenced by how you feel. So be careful, as we said before, about being overwhelmed by instinct. Maybe this is a reminder that in the broader context of these three cards, that you do need to have some logic. Just be aware that your emotions and your instincts are still at play here.
Well, the crown chakra is interesting because it's a connection to something greater, right? It's the part of the bridge that goes beyond physicality and leads us somewhere. Depends on what you believe as to where that somewhere is, what that somewhere is. But there is a non-rational part of it, because whatever the greater is not conceivable by our mind, and definitely not conceivable through language, which is how we would share our experience of it with each other. So it's doubly blinded, right? It's beyond our understanding, and it's far beyond our ability to communicate about it. There was the show that you didn't watch that I want you to watch, WandaVision first, but the Agatha All Along. There was a moment where the parents of one of the characters says, "We love you more than human words can communicate." And I thought that was actually a really kind of a beautiful thing to say, because the word love is far overworked in English.
Yeah, it's not got any nuance.
And, the idea of something existing beyond words, we lose that sometimes, because, I mean, you're listening to a podcast right now. All you and I and Jack have are words right now. So we lose sometimes sight of what's beyond words. And that's what the crown chakra really kind of comes together, is it is beyond words. And
but so are feelings.
Well, that's where I was headed. Yeah, that these are really two areas that are uniquely connected. One very visceral, existence based, right? So the second chakra is still very down there. It's not root, so it's not pure existence, but it's down there with existence, and it has a little bit of amorphous nature to it. And then you've got crown, which is amorphous in nature as well, right? So you do have it is an interesting connection between the two. And I think coming right after the preparation for action, this is its own kind of action. It's an alignment. It's a chance to align the instinct with the important. And you talked about what mark do you want to leave on the world? This is how you do it, I think. This is how you leave a mark, is you allow what's really you to have the aspiration for something greater. We were talking about art before we got on the show, and one of the things that we had talked about what makes art is something that does approach that ethereal level.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always come from rationality. In fact, I think there is something very instinctive about the best art. And there's a process. There's mastery of a medium, right? That's a very rational, intellectual process to master a medium. But short circuit that for a second and just be instinctive about what you're doing, allowing that all the mastery to fade away and just be instinctive for a second about what you're doing. I think that yields transcendency.
It reminds me of a parable at the beginning of a book that I read as an undergrad, in which the story takes place in a little Japanese village, and this young student wants to learn how to play flute. And he practices and practices and practices. And he goes and he watches a master. And they're like, oh, it's art. And he decides that he wants to go learn from this master flautist, and spends years and years and years and just practice. And just the master keeps saying, it's nice, it's not art. And the student is there for a long time, finally just gives up in despair and, wanders around begging and, playing flute at the side of the road. People throw little coins in there, porridge or, whatever. He's starving to death. And one day wanders back to his original village and is sitting there and not really cognizant of the people around him. He just starts playing and somebody yells out, it's art. Because he had finally just given up trying to be a perfect flautist and just played. So there's something about the way in which the two minds get in each other's way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need both to have a conversation with each other, and sometimes you need one to just hush. I find that too often we're expected to make our instinct hush. At least in this mechanized type of capitalist culture where everything has to be specific with spreadsheets and counting votes 10 times. But there is something to be said for just playing. And that's why it's called playing. I'm going to play the flute. I'm going to play this game. I'm going to play We play. If you look at what it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be fun. The act of being creative is supposed to be pleasurable. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be childlike. And when we're always pressured to make art, well, then we probably can't. So in this reading about expressing your truth and preparing to do so and looking for whatever this legacy is, maybe you just need to get out of your own way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like Michelangelo, I was learning, made his own metal, his own tools, because he needed specific tools to achieve what he was achieving. And that's kind of the two brains, right? You let instinctiveness sketch, right? You play, but then when it comes down to it, you got to carve that marble, right? You gotta do some work. And then he would take his maquettes and he would submerge them in water, and then he would let the water out little by little, because he carved top down, front to back, top to bottom, front to back. And so he would see what was emerging from the water, and then he would, emerge it from the stone. So that's a very rational process. Like that's smart, right? Like that's the thinking brain being like, I can mimic what I'm doing with water, with the stone. Like I have this ability. But the, making the maquette and getting the inspiration for that is that instinctive part of you. And I think for me, like the crown chakra, I almost view as like a lightning bolt. At least that's the way I've experienced it. Let's just say I view it as kind of like a lightning bolt, like plugging in and getting electricity through you. It's powerful. It's awesome. It can be overwhelming. But I just see this wonderful strike of lightning that's aligning, your crown ideas and your instinctive ideas, and making this spark, right? This instant motion, this instant notion. And that's something greater. And now your job is to capture it.
I'll be interested to see if the third eye comes up anywhere in this reading.
Right.
Given that the gut has come up at least twice now.
Let's find out. Let me get some energy off of this card. Nope, it's this one. I was trying to decide between two cards. No, actually, we get the heart here. This is the Ace of Storms. So this is the Ace of Swords in the tarot, and this is the first breeze.
Okay, interesting. So is this reminder saying that your actions are going to impact other people? What does this mean to come to the heart right here?
It's interesting.
Or that you should collaborate with others to improve your ideas, or what does this mean?
Well, in my deck, the swords are a little bit less about collaboration. Like your heart's very about collaboration. My heart is about joy and grief,
okay,
and peace. That's a little bit more where. So I think this is like the respite. Like the sword cuts two ways, right? Love cuts two ways. Joy cuts two ways, because you can't have it forever, right? So you can mourn it when it's gone, or you can hold on to the experience that it was when you had it. So I think this is a chance to kind of come to a moment of peace with, like, this, if it is this lightning bolt of inspiration. You kind of need to have a peaceful state to let that play out. So you prepared yourself for action. Your forge is ready. You get the jolt. You get the strike. And then you need to act on that in a peaceful manner, but also like with joy, right? You talked about creation should be playful, should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be joyful as well. It should really inspire moments of joy in you. And then the creative process, like you and I have both experienced this. You experienced this last night. There's a grief that comes from the creative process as well.
Yeah.
There's a loss that occurs in the process. And I think both need to be nurtured and allowed.
It just occurred to me that even when you go to the theater, you go to watch a play. I know that as creative types, we think about all of this as our work, our life work, but it is play. It should be, even if it's making content that might be sad or might be dark in its messaging, it's still a process of molding and forming, and it's like Play-Doh. It's like we can go on and on and on about how it's supposed to be pleasurable and fun to be creative and to express yourself. And maybe it's not always bright and sunshiny. I mean, Lana Del Rey is depressing, but it's still beautiful. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. One of my favorite songs ever. And I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I admire what she's done. It's a song called Dark Paradise. I don't know if you know this song, but it is gorgeous. And every time I hear it, it makes me cry. It's so sad, but it's so beautiful. So beautiful. And there is a sense of catharsis hearing something, even if it's not overtly happy. It's that, I don't know, celebrating that she was able to capture something as beautiful as that particular song. It might be a sad song, but yet it's tinged with nostalgia. It's tinged with yearning. And I don't think this reading is trying to imply that anything about your feelings or your expression needs to be cut and dry or simple, or that just is outright pleasurable to just make creative stuff or to speak your truth. It takes a lot of courage to do that, especially if it's not a popular or convenient truth. But there is that almost like, excuse the phrase, but it's almost like an ejaculation of emotion. That this bursting forth of something creative out of yourself, out into the world. And it doesn't necessarily have to grow into something immediately. It doesn't have to become a baby, but it's just the process of getting it out of yourself that is part of the pleasure of being alive. You know, you don't have to be female. You don't have to have a womb to be creative, to generate something that exists in the world. It's a joy that anybody can enjoy if they allow themselves.
You use the word catharsis. I think that's a very apt word.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, we had this jolt of lightning. Catharsis is about the breath after.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? It's about the moment after, because when you have it, it's like the lightning and then the release. And I think that's why the heart chakra came up here.
And you know, it's interesting in French, after you had experienced an orgasm, there's like this almost like this little bit of sadness you feel after an orgasm. In French, it's called la petite mort, the little death.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the French. Really, it's just marvelous. But the idea that there will be balance in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you have these heights of joy and pleasure, it will be balanced by the loss of that moment ending, the sadness that it can't last forever. But it can't last forever. It would be exhausting. Like the idea that, oh, we'll just be happy forever. Is like, that just sounds exhausting. Go to take a nap. But yeah, so it's la petite mort after you've made something or done something. You need that time to come back down, catch a breath, and just be quietly in the moment if you can.
I also think that the work of art is done in the piece after the inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
I think you, like Stephen King, love him, hate him, whatever. There's a peacefulness to his routine that I think allows him to write with the proficiency that he does, or he did. I guess he's having to stop now because of health. But you know, a lot of authors I've heard, I wish I had this. They, you know, wake up in the morning and they spend 4 hours at it, and they accomplish their goals. And I think that there's a piece there. I think the inspiration was like lightning for them, but then the work is done in peace, because you have to do the work in peace. Otherwise it's frenetic and jumbled, and there's no way that Michelangelo could have carved the Pietà, you know, was constantly being struck by lightning like that. That's just, there's just no way to accomplish something like that other than diligent work.
So the frenzy can happen in the inspiration, but then you have to actually do the work, and that requires a steadier hand usually.
Yeah.
I mean, there are forms of art where you can be ecstatic the entire time, so I'm not discounting that. You know, there's plenty of.
I might be a little bit.
Well, that's because of the way you consider art.
I might discount that a little bit, but we can talk about that another time.
But there's still the balance between the frenetic and the staid. I think also when you're working in that place of controlled, measured, energetic calm, if you will, there is a little bit of editing happening while you go. There's a little bit of polishing happening while you go. Mm-hmm. You're not writing every single word you say. You know, stream of consciousness has, you know, moment. I don't know if we need to do that a lot more now, but generally speaking, when you're writing, you're selecting which ideas to record to come back and polish even more. But even that choice of which words to write down is in and of itself a polishing moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be struck with whatever the ideas you want to write about, whether it's a story or a concept or a thesis or whatever. But you certainly can't write a thesis when you're constantly on the verge of ecstasy. It wouldn't work.
No. Yeah, there's a calmness and a place where your mastery can take over. And I think this is probably why I have a hard time with jazz, because the mastery is taking over, but it's frenetic. You know, yeah. It's and why is jazz so fast now? I mean, I guess maybe I just haven't heard it. I don't go out looking for jazz, so I won't pretend that I know everything about it. But what I have experienced, it seems like the modern stuff, the fusion stuff, is just fast. It's frenetic. It's just fast. It's just so fast.
Yeah, Well, the little bit I know about jazz, it requires such a deep and fluent understanding of music theory. You have to, do all that hard flute practicing, like in the parable, so that you can just play and get out of the way. But after decades of that, perhaps there's a pressure to show the what's the word? What's the word? Not brilliance, but maybe there's some kind of pressure to go beyond what's already been done for the last few decades, and some kind of a cerebral pressure to come back in and be flashy about that knowledge of theory. I don't know. I saw a jazz movie recently about a student who was wanting to be a jazz drummer, and the way in which his instructor pretty much ruined his life in the pursuit of perfection. And that seems to me to be the opposite of letting go and getting out of the way and simply allowing the art to flow. This perfection that lets go and becomes fluid and then gets wrangled into something purposefully. It's like this struggle between doing and playing. But what's I can't remember the word I wanted to use. Virtuosity.
There you go.
It's when with virtuosity, you should be able to just play and allow the art to ooze out of you. But then there's something like this human egotistical need to prove that you know that you're oozing, and then that virtuosity becomes overwhelming again. Because now you have to prove that you're just as virtuosic as somebody else, but that you can do it this way, and you're still present.
Yeah, we see this with children and the arts a lot, the artistics a lot. Let's call it that. This idea that you have to be able to play this just a little bit faster than the last person.
That speed implies talent.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's not to say that it doesn't, but what does the piece require, and how are you changing the piece by speeding it up just to prove you can?
Well, this is where you get into like a lot of Zen pursuits, and their speed is not virtuous. There's almost having the right time is more important, and true mastery, like bonsai, is a very slow process.
Spirit thought, well, there's your art with your capital A. I'm going to prune this tree for 67 years. In fact, I'm going to prune it so slowly I'll be dead before it's even finished. My grandchildren have to do it. Art.
So yeah, I think there is a stillness that is required, and an understanding of timeliness, an understanding of how inspiration becomes creation.
I'm experiencing la petite mort actually right now.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the Ace of Storms here. There is all the pleasure and joy that happens from being creative or procreative, or however you want to think about the metaphor. And there is that moment of loss and depression and sadness when that joy ends. And I'm experiencing that full out right now.
Mm.
I feel like I'm going to start crying right now just to do it. I mean, why.
Sometimes you gotta.
Yeah.
We were talking, and maybe we'll get into this into the members only version of the podcast, but you had that creativity active for constantly for 2 months, like that. There's only so much there, right? Like there's only so much that pathway in the brain can handle.
Yeah. It's been numbed. Stop touching it. Leave it alone.
Well, and I think for you and I, the hint of mania that always haunts us is like, keep going. And, we have to allow rest. We have to allow peace.
Well, and like what I just said, being kind of joking, it's like after an orgasm, you tend to be oversensitized and you just have to stop touching it. Just stop touching it. Leave it alone. It's like, that's where I am right now. It's like, leave it alone. Stop touching it. Leave it alone. Stop. You're fucking up the vibe.
That's funny. All right, let's get this last card. Let's see where we end today.
We're going to go back to the professions.
Okay.
And we're going to use card number. Where are you going, baby? 27.
Okay.
That's probably going to be in fire.
Appropriate.
What is going on today? Oh my God. Okay. I was wrong. It's wood. So it's more heart, more love, more.
But here we get the connection. Yeah.
And guess where it's connecting? Orange.
Oh my goodness.
Metal. Oh, that's so crazy. So this is wood, green, heart, I love. So not like we said earlier, not love in the English way, but love in the sense that you form connections. How you connect and how that's impacted by metal, orange, Svadhisthana, I feel, metal, wood and metal, green and orange. I profess that I love all my experiences because they have made me stronger. I profess that I love all my experiences because they have made me stronger.
So we have really a capstone to all of this in your connection, right? When this started with expression, in the outpouring of your expression, you have to love all of it, like all the parts of you.
Yeah, and understanding that the courage that you muster in order to express this, and the way in which you prepare to do it, and the reason why you do it, and the love you have for making your desires known, all of that becomes part of your broader life experience in the way that can be painful or scary. And yet it's still what specifically allows you to connect to other people, which is with the capstone, definitely. So we started at this place where the way what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, needs a voice. We go through this whole process with the cards, and now here we're ending with the idea that by sharing that, by expressing that, by letting people hear your voice in whatever medium you choose, by allowing your voice to be heard, that is specifically what will connect you with other people. When I was in graduate school, there was a question. This is postmodernism at its most irritating. But the question was, if you were to perform a dance inside a refrigerator box, inside a warehouse, in the middle of nowhere, and you don't tell anybody that the performance is happening, is it a performance? My perspective then and now is that if nobody knows you did it, then what was the point of doing it? That no, it's not dance. It can be an action, it can be an experience, but it's not a dance and it's not a performance, because a performance requires communication with witnesses, at least in my opinion. But I'm not really that good of a postmodernist because a lot of their ideas get on my fucking nerves. But, the idea was interesting. And once somebody did that somewhere, it's the only time it ever needed to be done. That was your art moment. Now nobody else anywhere ever needs to do a dance inside of a refrigerator box in a warehouse in the middle of nowhere without telling anybody. The whole point of all this communication, of all this expression, of all this sharing, is specifically to make what you're feeling or sensing known. Now, you could be like Emily Dickinson and write it down on little pieces of paper and stick in a shoebox and hide under your bed and nobody finds it till you're dead. You could do it that way. The question then is, was it poetry? Was it art while it was sitting in the box? Or did it transform? Did it transubstantiate, like the Eucharist, the moment that it was seen and understood? You can ponder that. But it's still about connection. the image in the book, I know which haiku this is. This is the one in the book with the rusty nails driven into the tree. The haiku came up a long time ago in one of our other readings. It's the one that looks at the way in which the scars and wounds and injuries that a tree experiences, it heals around that stuff. Like if you scratch your initials on the tree, you'll still see it decades later, but it won't look the way you carved it because it will have healed over. Or if you hammer nails into a tree, it'll grow around and envelop that wound, but still thrive. Here again, it might be scary or painful to express whatever your truth is, but you still need to do it. You will survive. You will grow around whatever this was and become stronger and continue to thrive. You just have to find the courage and the patience and the safety to do it at the right time. Or maybe it's not a right time. Maybe you just have to do it anyway and just go forth.
Yeah.
But the idea here is that the whole point of expression is connection.
We have a members only patreon.com/DeanSageMedia where you can get extended episodes where we talk about how the episodes affected us personally, what our takeaways were from it, other thoughts and things that we just didn't share during the episode. So if you'd like a longer episode with more information from us, you can go to patreon.com/DeanSageMedia. We have a YouTube. It's Show Your Deck on YouTube. You can see the cards that we're talking about, and they're pretty awesome colored formats that we spent time and time creating, and then they're there on the screen for you, so you can listen and watch at the same time. Our books and our decks are available at showyourdeck.com. Jack's books are available through Jack. Mine are available through Amazon, both Kindle Unlimited and also in paperback and hardcover. Our decks are available through a third-party distributor that you can get a link to from that site, theshowyourdeck.com. Jack, where can we find you?
I'm on 49 Haiku, so on the interwebs, that would be the number 4, the number 9, HAIKU.com. And on Instagram, it would be at 49 Haiku.
I am Dean Sage Media. Find me if you dare. We do have a show Instagram. It's at your deck, and we will say goodbye.